Joined now by a special guest, a man who probably helped a lot of you out there win some fantasy football championships. He was a first-round pick in 2008 out of East Carolina. Over his career, went to 3 Pro Bowls, was a one-time All-Pro, the Offensive Player of the Year in 2009 when he led the league in rushing. You know him as CJ2K. It's Chris Johnson. Chris, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, you have been away from the game for a while. You were in the podcast space yourself now, man. Tell us a little bit about that.
Man, me and Lindell White, we was like duos when I first went to Tennessee, and that's how we came up with our name, Smash and Dash or whatever. So we always talk trash back and forth to each other all the time. So it was only right to, be co-host in the podcast world and talk about different sports, different things that's going on around the world.
Who's the better talker between the two of you?
I would have to say Lindell is, I wouldn't say better talker, but if anybody knows Lindell, they know he likes to talk a lot. You know what I'm saying? He talks more than I talk, but
So, it works out, obviously, in the podcast space. You mentioned Smash and Dash. That was your name together when you were with the Titans. When you look around the league, and I know on your show you guys talk a lot of running backs and stuff, is there a running back duo that kind of reminds you of what you guys did in Tennessee?
Oh, man. One team that comes to mind to me is Atlanta Falcons. Mm-hmm. Those guys that they got over there, just even from looking at them last year, they had 2 good guys, and then they brought on Bijan Robinson. And it's just interesting to me, and it's kind of exciting to see what Art is going to do with all 3 of those guys that he got back there. That was a guy that was, when I was in Tennessee, and Mike Hammerdinger was my offense coordinator. Art, he was the quality control guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And he came up under him, studying him, and to see what he did when he became the offense coordinator at Tennessee. And now he's the head coach at the Atlanta Falcons, and now he got 3 good running backs back there. I'm excited to see what he do with those guys.
And as Marcus said when we introduced you, you ran for a legendary 2,006 yards back in 2009. Is there a running back in the league that you think can break 2,000 yards? And should it really count, though, if they get that extra gain?
I have to be honest and say, yes, it has to count because what a lot of people don't know, OJ did it in 14 games. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Know what I'm saying? So they might say, I got 2 extra games to do it or whatever. But I feel like another guy that can do it, it's not all about just his talent and ability. He has to be in the right offense. Mm-hmm. And the guy that I think has the best chance outside of Derrick Henry doing it again, I would say Nick Chubb over there with Cleveland. Mm-hmm. He's the guy now. He don't have anybody that he's switching in and out with this year because Kareem Hunt left or whatever like that, and I feel he's going to get all the carries. So I think he got the best chance out of any back in this league to rush for 2,000 yards.
So you mentioned Kareem Hunt, and I know right now he's sort of taking visits in places and looking to sign a contract. He's a free agent. Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook. There's so much of the talk this offseason has been about running backs getting underpaid. How are you feeling about that? And is there a way we can sort of get these guys paid in the future?
Oh man, that's a tough situation right there. That's a real tough situation, man. And honestly, I've talked about it a couple times, and just sitting around the house talking to friends and stuff like that. It's gonna be something that has to be done, and it's gonna take a lot. And I think the way that it's set up right now, they got the running backs, like they got them by the neck. Like it ain't much that they can do when you have to play out this 4-5 year contract. Yeah. Then they put the franchise tag on. They got 2 franchise tags, so you basically locked up for 6 years.
Right.
6-7 years, and then by the time you go through all that, if they don't pay you after the first franchise tag, by the time you go through all those years and stuff like that, you know what they say about running backs, he washed up. By the time you get to year 7, year 8, they already looking for the younger guy and things like that. So it's just tough, and I hope it's something that they can do to, get these running backs paid, especially earlier.
And one thing we talk about a lot on this show is like the Fantasy Football Hall of Fame. You don't really have to make a strong case, but you would be a first ballot Fantasy Hall of Famer. So I guess the real question is, who would you like to introduce you and give the introductory speech?
To the Fantasy Football Hall of Fame?
Yeah, sure, why not? Or, you know what? Or the real Hall of Fame, either one.
Oh, man.
Belong in both.
Oh, man. Okay. If I would have to pick something like that as far as the Fantasy Football Hall of Fame, who I want to introduce me, I would have to say Barry Sanders.
Ooh,
that's good.
I would have to say Barry Sanders. That's been my guy, like watching film on him, watching his highlights since I was growing up and things like that. That's always been my favorite running back. Feel like he's the best running back in NFL history. So that would be somebody I would want to introduce me.
When you look around the league and you look at some of these young running backs, are there guys, you mentioned Bijan Robinson, are there other kind of younger guys out there that have caught your attention?
Yeah. It's a guy, well, it's two guys. James Cook, he's going into his second year.
This dude's a Bills fan too. You just made
I
him
love
very
James
happy.
Cook.
Yeah, he's going into his second year. And, he started to get better and better as the year went on last year. And I think this year is his job. And I think he's going to do some big things this year. That's one of the guys that I like. And another guy, Jahmyr Gibbs. I've been on this guy for a while. And just seeing like some of the highlights and some of the plays that he's making in training camp, I'm definitely excited to see this guy play this year.
You ever think about coaching? You ever want to get into that?
I don't know about coaching. Probably more so of scouting.
Okay.
I think I'd be better at scouting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to coach. It depends the levels. You know what I'm saying? Like college. Well, now you can't even really say college because they're getting paid too. Probably high school. Probably better off coaching in high school rather than college or pros. But I don't think I want to be a coach. More so, I'm leaning towards like really getting into the scouting.
So putting on your scout hat, who is there a running back in the league that reminds you of you? Is it Jahmyr Gibbs or does no one come close to CJ2K?
I wouldn't say Gibbs. I say the closest one that I can say that kind of model their game sort of like mine's, I would say Dalvin Cook. I would say Dalvin Cook. I like how he run that zone running scheme and things like that. So I'll say Dalvin.
Do you still follow the Titans? I mean, your thoughts on what they have in store potentially this year?
Yeah, I still follow them. That's my team. I still follow them. I feel like with the addition of D-Hop, that did a whole lot for us. Like, we was missing a number one receiver ever since AJ left. And to get D-Hop in, I think he came in and filled those shoes. And that way, you're not able to just stack all these guys in the box and, to stop Derrick Henry. And another thing, I think it would prolong Derrick Henry's career where you don't have to go in there and give him the ball 400 times. When you got D-Hop and you got a passing game, you could pass the ball a lot more, and then it just creates a mismatch.
Do you enjoy hearing stories about people telling you either like, you won me my fantasy week or championship, or I lost because I was facing you? Do you? Because I have a great one. I was playing you against the team that you were on in 2010. Monday Night Football. I just needed you to not have a massive game. And then with 2 minutes left, you broke out a 35-yard touchdown and broke my heart. Exactly that game.
Yeah, people tell me that all the time about that game. They like, man, why was you still in the game? What was going on? Like, what you like? Yeah, so I remember that game like it was yesterday.
Yeah, everybody talks about you at the combine running the 40. How fast do you think you could run right now?
Oh, right now? Oh, man.
He immediately rubs the knee.
It's tough. I think I can run pretty fast, but I know probably at the end of it, I'm probably going to pull a hamstring.
Do you think you could still to this day beat Tyreek Hill in a race?
To this day? Not right now.
In your prime, though?
Yes, of course. In my prime, yes. Yes, in my prime, of course.
I mean, so like after football, I mean, you mentioned you're in the podcast game.
Yeah.
I mean, what have you been doing? How have you been occupying yourself since football?
Well, yeah, podcast game, that, and then another thing that I've been doing lately. I got some Airbnbs down in Orlando, so you know
Okay.
a lot of people come down to Orlando to go to Disney World and stuff like that. So I got 2 Airbnbs right around the corner from Disney and stuff like that. Like, got all the theme rooms and the arcade garage and all that type of stuff. So I really been focusing hard on that and doing that.
Any
there you go.
football memorabilia in there?
A
Or
whole lot. Yeah.
So there you go,
So,
folks.
like,
If you were,
jerseys, game balls, helmets, everything signed by like real NFL players and things like that.
amazing. So if you're looking for a vacation spot near Orlando, there you go. Look it up from Chris Johnson. I mean, I got to ask you though, like, so you talked about scouting and everything. I mean, would you like to stay around the NFL game if you could?
I definitely would. That's a goal of mine. Like, I can't play no more. People ask, do I miss the game? I don't miss practice and all that in training camp. I miss going out there on Sunday, getting those goosebumps and playing in the actual game. And besides that, like I got 2 twin boys that are 11 years old. They play football. I help out with their team and stuff like that. So like that's kind of like my only way of staying in it at this point, like helping them out. But I definitely would like to be like on the NFL level, like helping them with scouting, like because I just feel like who's there better to scout running backs than myself. I done it to the highest level. So
Yeah. Would you tell your kids to play running back, considering the way?
no, they're not allowed to play running back. They already not. But it's crazy. Like this stuff is just coming out like right now. Like I've been telling my kids that like the last 3 years, like they're not allowed to play running back. Well, they can play it right now in Little League, but they're slowly, the older they get, slowly transitioning to receiver, cornerback, or whatever. Like we just train as athletes. So by the time it's time to go to high school, they definitely won't be playing running back.
DB, wide receiver. That's where the money's at right now, for sure.
Yeah, that's
do you ever
crazy.
put on some of your old highlights to be like, this is how good your dad was?
Well, man, you know, these days and ages, kids, man, it's crazy. Kids be having iPhones in elementary school and stuff like that now. So they pull all that stuff up on YouTube on their own and stuff like that. Like, what I try to do with them is like, when their game film, like from Little League, they record the games and stuff now. So I like kind of go over their game film with them and watch their game film and like critique them and like tell them what they did wrong and what they did a good job at.
There it is. That's how the scouting thing begins. Just like that, man. Chris, man, we appreciate the time. Smash and Dash podcast. You and Lindale White. Heard a couple episodes. Sounds great. Continued success with that, man. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.